So very good evening to everyone. Today we will see how to fetch compound employee API, that is SF API, through SAP CPI. So basically we will go to the system later. Before going to the system, we will see what are the key points, what is SF API and why it is important. Okay, what are the rules that are mandatory and all everything. Okay, so we will see basics first about the compound employee API, and after some time we will see the practical fetching of data with the help of SAP CPI. Okay, so basically there are two types of APIs in SuccessFactors. One is the compound employee API, which is said to be as a SF API or a SOAP API. Okay, and another one is OData API. So today my aim is to focus on the compound employee API. So today we will totally focus, main focus is to compound employee API. So let us see what is compound employee API. So uh, in SuccessFactors, compound employee API is basically will give the hierarchical structure of the entire employee central. What it means basically, the compound employee API is giving the entire set of a data, okay, within a single go. Okay, so we will also see in practical from where we are getting this data. So in the second point, we see that the 90% of the fields you can achieve through the compound employee API. Okay, so 90% of the employee central data we are getting from the compound employee API. Okay, so the main point is it is a SOAP based API. Okay, so it is a SOAP-based protocol, and the OData API in the second, there are basically two types we talked earlier. The OData API is is supported by OData V2 adapter, and whereas the compound employee API is supported by the SOAP adapter. So that is why the compound employee API is SOAP-based API. Okay, so there are two ways to fetch this data. First one is the business accelerator hub. So it is not mandatory every time that we are having the access of the SuccessFactors system. So we can also access this data from the business accelerator hub. So let us see how we can fetch this data from the business accelerator hub. Okay, so first we will go to the api.sap.com. Okay. Okay, this is the main screen we will see. Okay, after that we have to go to explore. Okay, after going to explore, we have to go to SAP SuccessFactors. Okay, we can see that there are multiple options over here. We have to fetch the APIs. So there is a specific option over here. APIs, we can see that. Okay, so we are fetching the compound employee API. So it is a SOAP-based protocol. Okay, so we have to click on SOAP. So we can see that it is a compound employee API. Okay, there is only a one entity, okay, which will give the entire set of a data. Just click on this link. Okay, we can see API references. Okay, API consumption, and go to documents. In this, we have to see that we have to download this WSDL file. Okay, so this WSDL file is nothing but it is the uh, data which we want, that which we required. Okay, it is the entire set of a data. Okay, which is which compound employee API is consisting. Okay, as I already download this data. Okay, after downloading this data, we have to go to SOAP API. SOAP API. So before going to SOAP API, there are few key points you should know about SOAP API. Okay, as we already talked, SF API. Okay, so it will give the hierarchy structure as a response of our employee data. Okay, now we will see the SOAP API. Okay, as I already created everything. Okay, for example, if you have to create a new data or new folder. Okay, so we have to go to first file. Okay, then new SOAP project. Okay, here you have to give the name of the project, and from here you have to browse the file which we have downloaded. Okay, the WSDL file I'm talking about from API Accelerator Hub. Okay, we have to just you have to just mention this file in this folder. Okay, after mentioning this, after mentioning this, click on OK. You will see such a folder. Okay, just click on this folder, double click on this folder. Okay, based on the APIs, okay, that is based on the WSDL file we fetched over here. We can see there are multiple number of sections over here. Okay, we will mainly focus on login, logout, query. Okay, so just click on login. Okay, here plus icon is there. Just click on the plus icon and go to request. Okay, so we can see that there is a screen. Okay, so by default I have mentioned this everything: company ID, username and password. So this all is given by the SuccessFactor team. Okay, so company ID is provided by the SuccessFactor team, the username and the password as well as it is provided by the SuccessFactor team. Okay, so first we have to log in the system. Okay, then run it. After running, we can see that there is a 200 OK. Okay, after login, it will give me the session ID. Okay, we have to copy the session ID. Okay, then we have to click on query. Okay, so we can see that I have already mentioned here one query. Okay, so we can see see actually what I will try to tell what actually how the query is working. So basically we will select the person. So based on the person, specific person, we are getting the address info, email info, employment info, compensation info, pay compensation info, everything. Okay, from compound employee, where is nothing but it is act like a filter. Okay, where the person ID external in this order by start date in descending. That is, we are selecting basically the tag that we want in our output based on this person ID extension. Based on this specific person ID external, we will get this entire record. We will get this entire record. Okay, order by start date descending. As we will run after running this query, there are multiple number of start date in every entity. Entity is nothing but this one. This all are entity. Okay, in every entity, as by default it is ordered in descending order. It is arranged in descending order. So we will see based on start date, it will arrange all the format in descending order. Okay, so we have to run it. Okay, as we can see that it is showing 500 error. Okay, invalid session ID. As we earlier got the session ID from here. Okay, so we have to mention this session ID from the login. Okay, this session ID from the login over here. Okay, in header. Okay, it is kind of one security, we can say, security and session management kind of something, kind of thing we can say. Okay, so we have to write over in the header, we have to write cookie. Okay, we have to write this cookie. Okay, j session id we have to write equals to the session ID we got from the login. We have to paste it over here. Okay, I pasted it, and now you can run it. Now you can see that we got the output, or we got the response as 200. Okay, okay, we can see multiple number of records. I am trying to say that based on this person ID, Okay, person ID external. So based on this particular person ID external, we got this entire data. Okay, but the drawback of using the session ID is that after every 10 minutes, the session ID got uh, discarded. That is, we have to do login, we have to again copy paste that session ID, we have to again write the session ID. So in place of using multiple times the session ID, we can create one test suite. Okay, so we will create one test suite over here. Okay, so how to create a test suite? As I already created over here, just left click on this particular folder. Okay, new test suite. Okay, give the name of this test suite. Okay, test suite 2. Okay, okay, we created this test suite. Okay, after creating the test suite, okay, again create this test suite. Again create this. Again left click this test suite 2 and new test case. Okay, click on this new test case. Test case 2 we can say, for example. Okay, create this test case over here. Okay, so now we can see test suite is created by clicking the left click, new test suite. Okay, after creating this test suite, we have to left click on the test suite 2 and we have to create a test case. After creating this test case, create left click on this test suite 2, add steps. We have to add the steps. SOAP request, for example, login. Okay, okay. Now we can see that there are multiple options over here. Okay, we want the login, the logout, the query mode. These same options are also available here. Okay, the same options are also available here and also available here. Okay, so we have to select any one option. Okay, any one option we have to select. Okay, for example, I have selected this login and then okay. Just click OK. Now we can see that we got the same body over here also. With respect to the company ID, the username and the password, the company ID provided by the SuccessFactors team, as well as the username and the password. Okay. Now, I'm trying to say that this test suite will automatically fetch the session ID into our every running query. For example, once we created the test suite, okay, just create create a click left click on test case. Okay, go to the setting. Okay, so we can see here from here we can manage the HTTP sessions. Okay, sessions. Okay, we have to enable this session. After enabling this session, the session ID I am talking about earlier, after 10 minutes, we have to again renew that session ID. Okay, so after enabling it in the test case, we don't need to every time enable this session ID. It will directly fetch the session ID and it will run our entire query. Okay, so basically what we have to do, we have to go to test case. Okay, after going to test case, go to the setting and just enable the session. Okay, any doubts still here?
No, none.
Okay, thank you.
No side.
Okay, so sorry, as I'm trying to say that how to create basically a test case as I already created. Okay, as after 10 minutes we will not here we will not require to create multiple times the session ID. So we created a test suite. It is the plus point. Okay, there is no need as I already created. We can see the demo test suite. You just click over here. Okay. I will also again issue. You can see that I already maintained the HTTP sessions. Okay. So just double click on this. Okay. So you can see that all the queries are already pre-built over here. Okay. So just double click on this test tips or click on this plus icon. It will be fine. Okay. You can now see that I have created already this query. There is no need of this test suite now, as you already understood how to create it. Just remove it from here. Okay. As you can see, the login. So this endpoint is basically is provided by the SuccessFactor team. Okay, the SuccessFactor team is provided this endpoint. This endpoint is basically we are getting it from the instance location. Okay, instance location means there is another procedure. Earlier we have to search this uh, endpoint in the with the help of SAP help support. But now the SuccessFactor team is providing us, I guess. Okay, then too I will let you know. Okay, so it is based on sorry. You can say that US 20. Okay, over there that based on this US 20, we will get that endpoint. Okay, that based on this US 20, we will get the endpoint which we have mentioned over here. Okay, mentioned over here. We will get this endpoint from there, and it is 4443 is the uh, I guess server client server ID, I guess something like that. It is also provided by the SuccessFactor team. Okay, with respect to SF API slash v1 slash soap, we have to add this as it is a soap base. Okay, as it is a soap base. Okay, FF API as we are calling compound employee API is said to be as a FF API. Okay, so we have given slash FF API. So basically we have to add the suffix over here with respect to the semicolon 443. Okay, slash FF API v1 slash soap. Okay, there is no need how to find it as the SuccessFactor team is giving the endpoint, so there is no need. Okay, so this detail from the endpoint to the SuccessFactor password, the password, the username, it will all provided by the SuccessFactor team. Okay, so there is no need to take any worries. Okay, so we will now start how to basically how this query works. So before going to this, we will see some key points. Okay, as I mentioned over here, I made one key points over here. Okay, so before going to this, as I already talked, okay, we have to go to business accelerator hub. Okay, success factor APIs, we already fetched this compound employee API. We have to download this WSDL file, and we went to SOAP API. Okay, we created the test suite. Okay, why we created the test suite? Because every time there is no need to create J session ID. Okay, we have to after login after login a success factor system in our SOAP, it will provide one session ID. We have to pass that session ID in every query. Okay, in every query in the form of header. In the header, basically, we will write the cookie and the J session ID is equals to the J session ID we got from the login part. Okay, after that, we have to also see the respected roles which are assigned to them. The necessary roles has to be assigned to the success factor team. Then only we can fetch the data from the success factors. Okay, till now here all clear.
Yes.
If
Yes, sir.
any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, I can help you out.
Sure, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, before going to the SOAP UI, okay, as we are all familiar, basically, what it is doing, it is giving the entire set of data. Okay, so before going to the SOAP system, SOAP API, the key point should be remembered is that the key feature about is, as I already earlier already talked. Okay, a single API call. Okay, within a single API, we will get the entire structure of the employees. Okay, entire structure of the API. Wait a second. Sorry. Okay, this endpoint URL I already depend on the instance location of SAP endpoint. Okay, that we already talked now over here. That US 20. How this endpoint we are getting. Okay, this is only explained over here. Okay, how it depends on the instance location. Okay, so SuccessFactor team is providing one URL link. Okay, so based on this URL link, there is a one location that US 20 we watched earlier is nothing but it is the instance location. I continue. It is nothing but it is the instance location. Based on this instance location, we will get that particular endpoint. Okay, sorry. After getting that endpoint, okay, as we talk after logging into the system, SuccessFactor details, after login all everything, okay, the security and session management, okay, after login, okay, we already talked earlier, okay, we'll get the session ID. That session ID we will pass in the form of header, okay, by the cookie and session ID. Sorry, J session ID, J session ID, and is equals to the session ID we got from the login. We have to just paste it over there. Okay, recommended to use the test suite. As I earlier already talked, okay, we have to use the test suite only because session due to the session ID. Okay. Uh, okay, we will talk this later. Okay, we will see first. Okay, so let it be. We will talk something that's not good. Okay. Okay, so maximum SOAP message size. Okay, so whenever you are passing the data from, whenever you are fetching the data, we can't exceed more than 5 MB of data, SOAP data. Okay, it is one of the key feature or important point to be remember. Maximum number of rows. Okay, as we can see that, just log in. Okay, double click on the test suite. Okay, as I already disable all this field. Okay, disable. How to make it, how to disable it? Okay, just left click on it, left click over here. You can see disable test steps. Okay, so just click over here. Okay, for now I don't want disable, I want to enable it. Okay, just double click the test suite, demo test case. Double click we have to, okay, we have to double click to the demo test case. Just run. You can see login is showing a green light, finish successfully, green light. I have run one query over here. Okay, and already it is also log out. Okay, let's go to this login. Okay, we can see that login. Okay, we got the session ID. Okay, every time in the that particular project, particular SOAP demo SF API we created, we have to mention, we have to specifically copy that session ID and we have to paste it over there. Okay, in this query, we can see that okay, no need, as I already mentioned. Okay, we can see that it already fetches this SF HTTP session. Okay, without copy pasting it over here. As we can see the status 200. Okay, okay, so this data we got, you can see the query, as I already explained earlier, okay, we have selected the respected entities, okay. So this field is nothing but these are said to be as an entity. These are entity, okay. I want the address information of this person, email information, employment information, and all. Based on this personal ID external, this one, okay. So based on this personal ID external in Cagranet, okay, this is the name of the person, okay. Based on this, I want this respected details, okay, and which is order by start date in descending order. So based on the start date, it will arrange the entire set of data, okay. So we can see that this person tag, okay, after person tag, personal information, we can see this personal information, okay. So it will give the entire tag over here as an output, entire tag, we can see that. Wait, you can see it, okay. Email information, employment information, job information, okay. We got this entire detail, okay. After this query, okay, after running this query, we will see second one. Yes. So the same endpoint we have to copy it over here, okay. My second query is I have selected the person, okay, based on the employment information, okay, from the compound employee, where the last modify on, okay. So last modify is nothing but it will this sentence, this particular tag will return the value, okay, based on, for example, I want the data of last I want the data till this date, okay, 21st first 03, okay. So this last modifier on is greater than to date. What this means, it will give the data after this date, okay. So it will give this data, sorry, it will give this data after this date, it will give this data after this date. We can see, sorry, disable it as there is no required now. Demo test case, okay, 200, okay. Okay, you can see that what in the query what we mentioned 210325 means January, February, March, okay. So 21st of 3 25, okay. So it will give the data after that period, okay. So we can see that it is 2506 today's date, okay. So lastly this data is updated on this date. Okay, so whenever we are passing the condition, when the last modify date is greater than to date, okay, the date we have mentioned, it will give the data after that particular date. Okay, particular date. We can see that. See over here also. Okay, you can see over here same date updation 20. It is updated on 20 June. Okay, you can see the date is changed over here. Okay, 2025-06-07. Okay, we can see that it is changed the date. Means 7 June. It is lastly modified. Okay, so after this date, it is giving the data. For example, if I change this date, for example, I will write 19, click on this double time on demo test case and run it. You can see it showed me the 500 error. Why it showed me the 500 error? Because the data exits restriction. Wait a second. Ah, yes. So you can see data exit restriction, that is invalid data last modified on, okay, should be exit restriction of 3 months into the past. So basically what they are trying to say is that this last modified it, that is this condition will only give the data till 3 months. Okay, for example, today is 21st June. Okay, so it will give the data from 21st March to 21st June. It will not give the data from 20 March to 21st Feb. Okay, so it will only give the last 90 days data. Okay, if we want the last 90 days data, then it will give. You can see, you can read this query, what they have shown the error. Exceeds restrictions of 3 months into the past. The earliest date you can use is 25/03/21. You can see that. Okay, as today is 21st of June. Okay, so from this 21st of February to 21st of June. So basically it is giving me the data, okay, which is modified, within this last 90 days, within this past 90 days. Okay, for example, if I change it again, as I mentioned 19 over here, if I mentioned a 29, for example, you can say 200. Okay, over here you can see that. Yeah. See, last modified date based on the condition. Okay, after that particular date it got modified. You can see. Okay, similar this kind of a data, another query. Okay, it I made this query a little bit smaller so it is easy to understand. Okay, this is the actual query I'm talking about. Made it disable. Yeah, enable. Okay, see, same, last modified date is greater than to date time. I have written same each and everything. Okay, so after this data, after this particular date, it will give this entire set of a data. Okay, it will give this entire set of a data to me. Okay, just check whether it is working or not. Yeah, it is working. You can see perfectly giving the output when it is properly working. Okay. Any doubts over here? Till here, sorry.
No, no side.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I.
So shall I go move ahead?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
Yes,
thank
sure.
you. Okay, so we talked about what is how this condition is working. So get back to our notes. Okay, same point I discussed over here. Okay, so the row size. Okay, row size is nothing but I talked. This is the row size. Okay, it's all. Sorry. Okay. Row side, yes. By default, it will be 200, but it is recommended to use 400 or more. Okay. So the row side should be size limit 1 to 800. Okay. So from 1, we can put it till 800. Okay. By default, it will always be 200 and it is recommended to put 400 or more. So we will always keep the row size 400 or more. This is one key point. Okay, another they are trying to say is maximum number of employees. Okay, do not retain more than 20K of employees. Okay, so they are not fetching the data more than 20K of employees. Okay, so more than 20K they will not allow. So UI is not support, I guess, something like that. Okay, transferring change employees that I already talked. Okay, LMD, that is last modified date delta. Okay, we can also set to as a delta. It can't pull more than 90 days records. Okay, as we discussed earlier. Okay, now only we discuss in this query. Okay, after it will only give the past 90 days data. Okay, the same point I have written over here. Any changes in the data, delta came into picture. We will see this delta afterwards. Okay, sorting by start date. Okay, as we can see that after every query there is a order by start date by descending order. Okay, I will show you how it actually is looking like. Okay, so it is descending by default. Okay, it is by default it is set as a descending only. Okay, just see what I'm trying to say. Okay, start date. um, Sorry. Where is the start date? Yeah, over here. So we can see the 1997-0101. Okay. After this, the second start date is 2025-0501. Sorry, 2025-0504. So basically, they are arranging the start date in descending order. Okay. So that is why we use that query over there. Okay. So now we will move a little bit ahead. Okay, we will talk about the overview of query parameters afterwards. Okay, so we will see what is effective date. Okay, so effective date is nothing but the start date. Okay, so I will try to explain actually what effective date is. For example, I have written over here one very easy example to understand you. For example, today I got hired in the company. So for example, today I cracked my interview. The day before yesterday I cracked my interview. Today I got hired in the company. So my effective date for me joining the company is 21st June. Okay. So for my company, my effective date, okay, is 21st June as I join on that day. Okay. For example, after 6 months, if I get transferred, okay, after 6 months, basically from 21st to 21st December, then for my transfer, okay, now I am talking about the second thing. Okay. For my transfer, okay, for my particular transfer, my effective date will be 21st December. Okay, so for industry, for example, for hiring date, okay, hiring date is the 21st June. For transfer, my effective date will be 21st December. That time I was effective. Okay, so basically effective date is a start date, nothing else. Okay, so there might be possibility of future effective date also. For example, you just read this, you will get familiar, okay, about this concept more in detail, I guess. Okay, for example, future effective date. Today is 21st June. Okay, as I joined the company from today. Okay, as I already told. Okay, from the next month of every 31st. Okay, I will get a salary. Okay, so as of now, the salary date is not effective. So today is 21st June. Okay, every 31st July, well, for every 31st of month, I will get my salary in my bank account. Okay, so yet that date is not effective. That is that yet that date has not came. Okay, so it is said to be as a future effective date. Okay, 31st is not today. 31st July is not today. Okay, so no, salary date is not effective as it will be effective on 31st July. Such scenario is said to be as a future effective date. Okay, it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So there is one concept also in the query effective date. Sorry. Okay, so the last modified date is actually also giving the future date. Okay, so it is possible the last modified date will also give the future date, but the effective date, okay, but the effective date will not give the future date. Okay, for example, it will only give the data till this date. Okay, so this condition, same query I will written over here in last modified one, same query. Okay, but we will use here effective end date is basically is equals to to date. This is my respected date, sorry, which I mentioned over here. Okay, so what it will do, the effective end date is equals to to date 2024 hyphen 0102. So it will not get, it will not give the data after this date. After this date it will not give me the data. Okay, so we can see, we can check once. For effective date, we will see the end date and start date. Okay, as there is no last modified date. Okay, so what I earlier told, after that particular date, we will not see that record, or we will not see the records. Okay, so just see end date. Okay, we're just gonna go down. Okay, this end date means what it is the what this date is denoting basically. This date is denoting basically, it means the record is currently active and has no planned end date. Okay, so this record has having the record is having a start date. Okay, as the record is ongoing. Okay, this record is not ended, so it is showing this date. Okay, it is not having the end date, so it is showing this date. That is, this record is still going. Okay, still ongoing. Okay, so we are seeing this date. Okay, there is no end date over here. Okay, it is on in process. Okay, so we can see this date. Check next. Same date we are saying every time. You can see Okay, wait. You can see that 24/12/31, what we have mentioned in the query. 24 one is, just give me a second. It is the end date, so we'll see the start date also. Okay. Yes. Okay. Sorry. So you can see that the start date, okay, is 2024/01/01. Okay. What is the query over here? The start date 2024/002. So we can see that based on the start date, we got this record. Okay. Sometimes we have to see the start date and sometimes we have to see the end date. Okay. So 02, that is second, I guess January. Yes, 2nd Jan was my condition and it started on 2024. So this data came. Okay. Let's see another example. Now we will see started. You can see that start date. Yes, it is before the condition, so it is giving this. It is giving this. It is giving this text. Giving the answers. See, 2023, 216, 216, 2020, 01. Okay, before the date, before the date, before the date, before the date. Okay, so with the help of start date, we can see with the start date, with the help of this start date, we can see as all the query, okay, all the data, okay, which we are all the employee data we are getting, okay, is before that particular date. Okay, you can see before this particular date we are getting the data. Okay, whereas in last modified date we are getting the data after this date and it is valid for 90 days. Okay, only it will only give the data for last 90 days. Okay, but after this data, that is, it is giving me the future date. Okay, whereas this date is my what we can say, it is the last date. Before this date, it is giving me the entire data. Okay, so effective date is basically it will restrict the future date. Okay, effective date, it will restrict the future date. And whereas last modified date will provide us the future date. Okay, I also mentioned over here in my understanding terms, where it is. Not written like this. Okay, last modified date. Okay, last modified. Okay, so basically, for the last modified date, we will referring to this tag. Okay, so key point I have mentioned, and in the last modified date, we are using greater than equal to. Okay, greater than equal to. Okay, we are using greater than equal to, and in the effective date, we are using the end date and the start date. Okay, so you can see that it is restricting the future date, and in the effective date, we are not using greater than equal to, we are using just equal to. Okay, we are using just equal to. You can see over here, equal to, it will give the current record only. Okay, so current date, before the current date, it will give the entire data. Whereas the greater than equal to, it will give the current record as well as the future dated record. Okay, as we are getting this date, okay, as we watched earlier in the end date, okay, it means the record is currently active and has no planned end dates. Okay, that is the record is currently running. Okay, and it has no end date yet. Okay, till now it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we will see that what is delta. Okay, we will see some what is sorry overview of query parameters. Okay, so basically query parameters it will control the behavior. Okay, of compound employee APIs. Okay, so whenever we are using the query parameters, so query parameters is only applicable for a delta records. Okay, so delta records means what I am trying to say is that delta records means if any changes in our what we can say in our system in our query. Okay, if any changes happens in the success factor system or in the XML tags we are saying seeing. Okay, if any changes if there it is happened, then only this delta records will trigger. If there is no change, then it will not then it will not trigger. Okay, we will see what is change segment only, and we will see the render previous tags. Okay, so we will go to the system parameter, just disable it as there is no use. Enable it, click on a query parameter. Okay, so as I already discussed earlier, okay, same query I used. Okay, nothing much. Okay, same query effective ended is equals to to date, the same date. Okay, I already mentioned date. Okay, no problem with the date. Okay, I mentioned effective date. Okay, so the query parameter basically it will give the name, that is batch size. We have to give the name. Okay, the batch size it is given, so I have written batch size over here. Okay, as I talked earlier. Okay, the maximum size it will be 1 to 800. Okay, sorry, as I talked earlier, it is 1 to 800 maximum number of rows. So I have mentioned, so I have mentioned 799. That's it, nothing much about the query parameter. Okay, so I'm mentioning that the maximum row size should be 799, and batch size, the name it is the batch size. Okay, in Chrome we will see. Okay, so there is one particular in the help center query parameter. We can see the SAP help. Okay, in the SAP help. Okay, so overview we can see this parameter tags. Okay, so name, the parameter name. Okay, value, the parameter value. Okay, 799, that is 1 to 800 we have to give. Okay, so we have given 799. Okay, so now we are saying this query mode. Okay, and we are focusing on delta. Okay, wait a second. We will focus on this query mode. Okay, switch between full and delta transmission. Okay, so it is helpful for the delta transmission. This query mode is helpful for delta transmission. Delta transmission we are using when there is any changes happen in our uh, system, or if any changes. For example, what we can say, my name is Sahil. Okay, but I want to change my name. With my first name is Sahil and I want to change my name Sahil While. Okay, so there is a change happened over here. Okay, so in that change already changes. Okay, we can say with the help of this delta. Okay, so we are using this delta over here. Okay, and within this delta, we will see render previous tag and change segments only. Okay, render previous tag and change segment only we will see. Okay, so let us move. Okay, so first we will see uh, change segments only. Disable it. No need. Enable. Okay, what I have written, the last modifier is greater than 2 date time. Okay, 2025 320, that is March 20. Okay, if I will run this, I guess it will not give me the answer. We can give it a try. Why it is not giving me the answer? Anyone?
It's past the 19 days mark.
Yes, yes, absolutely right, ma'am. Yes, yes, perfect. So because it passed the 90 days, so it gave me the error. Okay, perfect, ma'am. So just mention 21. Today is the 21. Okay, it sets in the criteria. Just click over here again. Okay, sorry. Here it is. Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. So basically what the data it will give the data after this particular date. Okay. So the key point to remember is that, okay, we have written the query mode as a name. Okay, as we saw here. Okay, query mode. Why we are seeing this query mode? Because it is giving a delta transmission. Okay, query mode, the value is our delta. Why we have written delta? Because we will see the changes over here. Okay, so this is the another tag. We have to use it over here, the result options, and change segments only. I will tell what this change segment is doing in the output. Okay, this result option, we change segment, if specified, the API returns only the change segments within an action code, not equal to no change in delta transmission. For more information, refer this. Sorry, I will explain this point. Just give me a second. Okay, so in place of what I'm doing, change segments only and render parameter options. Okay, so we have to give the name as a result options that both comes under this result change option. Okay, it is a part of result change option, and the value that we are looking for is the change segments only. Okay, that we mentioned over here. Perfect. And see, what I'm trying to say is that, okay, okay, yeah. Overview of query parameter to control the behavior, okay, of compound employee API only applicable for delta records. Perfect. If there is any changes, then it will trigger, or else it will not trigger. Change segments only, it will only return the change value. Okay. So the value which are changed, it will only return those value only. Okay. We will see. Yes, 200. Okay, perfect. Copy it and paste over it. Okay. So go. So you can see that in the earlier output, okay, we are not getting this action change. Okay, you see just, okay, no change, change, okay, again, see, change, change, no change, 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 okay. So this is due to it is showing the actions basically which are change. Okay, so for example, it is a change action. Okay, so the change segments only it will give the change value. Okay, it is a change action. We will see, definitely we will see a value over here which is change. Yeah, you can see that this one, copy it. Okay, you can see that this employee status and this employer status. Okay, previous value. Okay, the previous, you can see the previous a, perfect. Again we can see another change is over here. Another change means there is definitely over here. This same change is again over here. We will see another one. You can see this event. Okay, okay, we can see the previous value. Okay, earlier it was 26. Sorry, now it is 26, but earlier it was 5. Previous it was a, but earlier it was r, employee status. Okay, change, change, change. Again, go down. No need. See change over here. I want to give you the proper example which will clearly. Yes, I got it. Yeah, this is the proper example which will clearly help you to define what actually this how it is working. Yeah, you can see event reason. The event reason is close. Previously it was higher new. Okay, previously it was higher new, but now it is telecom. Now it is telecom. So these change segments will give only the change value. Okay, it will only give the change value. Okay, the change value only it is giving. This is the change value only it is giving with respect to the previous tag, but not in a specified format. Okay, so the change segment will only give you the change value, that is the tally comp. Okay, as you saw, as you're watching now, I am only highlighting the particular change tag. Why I am highlighting the particular change tag? Because there are multiple tags. There are no change also option are there. We can see there are no change option also are here. But because if there is no change in the action, then there is no changes happened over here. Okay, no changes happen over. You can see this tag. You can see this tag. Okay, country of birth USA, created on timestamp, date of birth, last modify each and everything. Okay, till here. Okay, if there is no change, we don't need to touch anything. Okay, because there is no changes in that particular tag or particular entity. Okay, you can see action change directly. You can see the previous value is there. Okay, the benefits 2025 2025-04. You can see that. See, again it is there. See, again it is there because it comes under change. See, again it is true, previous. Okay. Now, I think you got an idea about change segments only. Okay. Now, I will try to explain render previous tag. Again, it is invalid, the same reason that Kirti ma'am told before. 21. Yeah, it runs successfully. Same query I mentioned over here. Okay, same everything. It will give 90 days record. Okay, same query mode. Delta, we are using delta. If we will not use this delta, that will also, I will show you what output it is showing to us. Result option in place of change segments only. Now we use R and the previous tag. Okay, just copy this tag. Okay, Control F. Same, same data. It will show change, no change, insert and all. Okay, fine. Next, next. No change, so we will not touch. No change, we will not touch. No change, we will not touch. No change, not. Like this. We have to. Was there, I guess, one. Yeah. Say change. Now we use the render previous tag. Okay. Render previous tag. Compensation no. Change. Give me a second. I guess this one. Yeah. Got it. Something what we will do upside. There might be possibility. Yes. Yeah, we can see this another change. Okay, you can see this tag. One example we will take. We will change if the same value unspecified. No change. Yes, that was that. Wait a second. Yeah, this is perfect example. Yeah. So we can see that the difference between the change segments only and the render previous tag, as it is giving us the only the new value, okay, and that not in a specified way. So they are saying that the change segments will only give the change value, okay. So within this particular tag, okay, it is giving us the original value, okay. So sometimes it might be possible that, for example, we are fetching the data from a SuccessFactor and we have to send it to the third party system. Okay. For example, we are sending to S4 HANA, or for example, any third party application we are sending. So they are interested in, for example, first name, last name, first name of the employee, last name of the employee, email ID, then anything, something, for example, first date, last date. Uh, Wait a second, I will see what example I can give. Sorry. What I'm saying, yes. For example, there might be possibility if we are fetching the data from SuccessFactors, okay, to CPI. So our third party, we are sending this data, okay, SuccessFactor data to the third party application. So for example, our third party application needs the employee ID, the first name, the last name, the bank account, address, and so on. But he's also interested with our previous value. Okay, what is your company previous employee ID? What is your full name previous, if there is any changes, or last name, or the bank account, previous bank account details. Okay, so it will, it is recommended, that is basically if there is basically it is a delta. Okay, so there is a changes which comes under this. Okay, so if if there is any changes, for example, there might be possible, definitely the employee ID is change. Okay, for example, he is shifting from one company to another company, their employee ID will, his employee ID will definitely change. Okay, so such type of requirement will make such type of requirements will make come. Okay, so we can use this render tag. Okay, as this render tag is giving us the specific value along with the previous value. We can see event reason. Okay, so earlier the original, the change name, okay, the delta, okay, is now PC assignment. Okay, previously it is, it was set to be as a PC assignment completion. Okay, whereas in the change segments only, within the main tag, they just given us the name. Okay, given within that tag only, main tag only, one previous higher new. Okay, whereas in the render tag on render previous tag, they have given very systematically along with the original name and the previous name, with the help of underscore previous. With the help of underscore previous. Okay. So what I'm trying to say about this point, the change segments will only return the change value. Okay. So it is only giving us the change value, whereas the render previous tag will return the change value with respect to the previous value by using underscore previous. Underscore previous. Okay. It is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I.
Okay. So now we will go to our last topic. Okay, only difference between that the render tag and render previous tag and change segments, it will give the both are giving the values, but the render tag is giving the separate values. Okay, nothing much more, nothing. Wait, a second. Okay, yes, sorry. So just focus this one. Okay, this query. Now we will see the last modified date. This is our last query. Okay, so we can see the last modified date is greater than to date time. Okay, so we have given the date 2025 5/19. Okay, so basically we learned earlier that after this date we will get the data. Okay, now we are having the end date or the end from date to date. So basically we can set the date also. Okay, sorry. So we can set it over here from date. So we want the data from 2020 for this respected date to this date. 1 month of data we want. Okay, same we have written queried mode. We want the delta, that is we want the change record, we can say. Okay, we want the change data. Okay, same we have under render previous tag and all some everything, but we use the same tag but with the help of this from date and to date. Okay, I want this data for only for particular from this particular based on this particular condition. Okay, so to date and from date is same. Okay, it might be changed, but we have taken same, so it is easy to understand. It is easy for us to understand as for the initial level. Okay, so we can run this query. Wanted okay as always. Okay, as I told, same way as we use the render tag, and it will definitely give the actions. It will definitely give the change. If there is any change, then we have to focus on that particular tag only, particular entity only. No change, no change, no change, no change, no change. Yes, it was done. So as we took the last modified date, okay, this is the change we are focusing. Last modify. Yes, this is the last modified date I want to say. Okay, what date it is? 25/02/21. What we have written in our condition. 25/05 it is there. Give me a second. 21. No. Where is it? Start date. Yes, sorry. You can see the start date 25/5/31. What we have mentioned in the query. 25/19 to 6/19 as it is coming under the query. Okay, you can see. Okay, so basically we are seeing over a start date. No end date over here, I guess. No, there is no end date. Okay, change. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, no. Here also, you can see the start date. Okay, 25/6/16. What is our condition? 19. Okay, so it is fitting under this condition. Okay, perfect. We will see one more. Also, you can see the last modified date is same. Okay, next, no change. We will see one, two, change, and then we'll close the session. This change, what is it showing? Is there any start date over here? Yes, start date. Yes, it is coming under the condition. You can see that start date. So our main focus is to from date to to date, na? So it is coming under this condition. Start date within this change. Change is very much important. The change will denote if there is any change happened in the entity or not, any portlets or not. Start date 2025. Okay, perfect. Next, next. This last one here, let's see. Also having change and no change till here. You can see again this is fitted under condition 25/6/16 and we are having 25/6/19. Okay, so everything is coming under condition as per we wrote the query. Okay, so some of the key points just you go through it. Okay, I made. Last modified date, we mainly focus on the last modify one. Okay, so last modify is basically giving the 90 days, past 90 days, to date from to date time, something like that. Okay, it will give the past 90 days record. So basically, it is giving the future date record. Effective date, it will give the record before that particular date. Okay, from date to date, we are focusing on start date. Okay, so it is giving us the criteria. For example, I want the data from this date to this date. Okay, so within this date only it will give the data. So first you see the start date, whether it is coming or not, or end date, and after that you can see the last modified date. And we will only focus on the data on the change action. Okay, delta record we saw the change only segments and the render previous tag. Under the change only, we will see both the change only segments and render previous tags. Okay, so this render previous tag will give the under previous tag. This equal to it gives the current record only. Okay, this date we saw this date. This date you will see many times in our in your response. Okay, it means that the your record, your tag, your yes, your entity or your portlets is currently is ongoing. Okay, so last modified date, it is updated only when date changes. Okay, whenever the date will change, then only it gets updated, and delta, it will only fetches the change record as I talked earlier. Okay, any doubts you are having?
No, no, Sahil.
It is clear.
No, Sahil. Yes, sir.
Okay, so thank you so much.